When is Vampire The Masquerade Bloodlines 2 releases? Where is the latest gameplay teasers? Fans are frustrated with when is the game actually going to release. Video games are following the recent film trend of releasing sequels long after the original, much like Beyond Good and Evil 2, is reportedly the game that has won a Guinness World Record for being in development for long time since announced. It's important to note that the success or failure of a game can often depend on a variety of factors, including its gameplay, graphics, storytelling, and marketing. It's not uncommon for games to face challenges or receive negative reviews, and it's up to the development team and publisher to learn from those experiences and improve their future projects. Let's talk about top 5 reasons why games supposed to be fun before the gaming companies focusing on making money instead of giving us a good game. First reason, games provide a sense of accomplishment and progress. As you play a game and improve your skills, you can complete challenges and reach new levels, which can be rewarding and satisfying. Second reason, games can be a great way to relax and escape from the stresses of everyday life. They allow you to enter a different world and take a break from your usual routine. Third reason, which is why I like playing games anyway, games can be exciting and thrilling, providing a rush of adrenaline and a sense of excitement. Whether it's a fast-paced action game or a more strategic game, the sense of competition and challenge can be very engaging. The fourth reason, games can be a creative outlet, allowing you to use your imagination and problem-solving skills to come up with new strategies and approaches. Many games also allow for customization and creativity, such as building and designing your own virtual world or creating and customizing your own characters. And the fifth final reason is, games can be a social activity, allowing you to connect with friends and family and have fun together. Multiplayer games in particular can be a great way to bond and have fun with others. Let me know if you guys really agree with me on this. Then give a thumbs up for this video and subscribe for future contents on this channel, as we are about to enter new year, hoping to make our conservative contribution to make our contents more efficient and informative as possible. Now let's talk the actual reason for making this video. Bloodlines 2 is a sequel to 2004's Vampire The Masquerade Bloodline. One of the unique features of the game is its dialogue system, which allows the player to choose how their character responds to NPC characters in the game. This can have significant consequences on the story, as different responses can lead to different outcomes. Bloodlines 2 plot starts with the main character's death in 21st century Seattle. The player is of course resurrected as a vampire, a victim of a mass vampire attack that ignites a bloody civil war between several blood-sucking factions. Despite its initial reception, Vampire The Masquerade Bloodlines has gained a strong following over the years and is considered a cult classic by many fans of the role-playing game genre. The story of Bloodlines 2 centers around the concept of the masquerade, a set of rules and laws that vampires must follow in order to keep their existence hidden from humans. The masquerade is enforced by the Camarilla, a powerful organization that seeks to maintain the secrecy and stability of the vampire society. However, not all vampires are willing to follow the rules of the Camarilla, and some seek to challenge its authority or pursue their own agendas. These vampires, known as the Anarchs, often find themselves at odds with the Camarilla and may be hunted by its members. They often engage in activities that could potentially expose the existence of vampires to humans, and they may also be hostile towards other vampires who follow the rules of the Camarilla. The story itself is filled with all sorts of intrigue, and you'll be caught between the major vampire factions as they battle for supremacy. Part of the fun is figuring out which of the factions you want to ultimately align yourself with. The game also has a cool twist of different endings, so you can decide how the story will eventually conclude. This makes for added incentive to go back and replay the game to check out different story paths. In turn, this gives the game quite a bit of replayability value. Along with the main storyline, there are many little side quests that you can complete. These side quests also allow you a chance to gain more experience, level up your characters, where you allocate experience points in various skills and abilities. You can create a very balanced character, or you can specialize in certain abilities, so you'll probably want to go through the game a few times to experiment with different skills and different character build that suits your gameplay style. Gameplay is mostly first person and allows the player to choose between different disciples and clans, each with different and upgradable powers, skills, abilities in the game. The main character is also completely customizable with little vampire powers as the game starts. When the game begins, players can create their vampire character and customize them. Players can select the background that informs who they were as a human before they reincarnated as a vampire. You can begin the game as a criminal, coroner, or a police officer, with each offering different dialogue and interaction options with the game world. After starting the game, you start at the Thin Blood and must choose from one of 3 upgradable disciplines. The Thin Blood can eventually join one of 5 Full Blood clans, after which they have access to its specific disciplines, and each clan has its own pros and cons. The player can engage in side missions away from the main story. There are 5 factions with whom the player can ally themselves. Factions are shaped by ideologies instead of abilities and determine who is friend and foe to the player. Even the player has to pay a penalty every time his vampiric activities have witnesses by other factions in the game. Bloodlines 2 is a deep and complex role-playing game. As you level up, you'll gain points you can then assign to different skills and attributes depending on your preferred playstyle and clan affiliation. Combat-focused players will want to dump points into weapon accuracy and agility, while diplomatically minded players will choose to add points to charm and speech skills. Although you're locked to certain abilities based around your clan, you're still free to choose your character's play style to an extent. In addition to clans, there are several disciplines to choose from. This includes abilities that let you turn into a bat or ones that give you telekinetic powers. Some disciplines are exclusive to clans, while others are available no matter which clan you side with. As a Thin Blood, you're technically weaker than a full-blooded vampire. However, you're also able to possess various abilities Full Bloods cannot. This gives you an edge over your more powerful vampire factions. Gameplay mechanics and systems in the game are the various rules and mechanics that govern the gameplay of the role-playing game. These mechanics and systems are used to determine the outcomes of actions taken by players and to provide structure and consistency to the game. Another important gameplay mechanic in the game is the use of disciplines and other supernatural powers. Characters in the game may possess various abilities and powers that allow them to perform supernatural feats, such as shape-shifting, mind control, and enhanced physical abilities. These powers are activated using a mechanic known as blood points, which are a finite resource that must be managed by the players. Other key feature mechanics and systems include combat, social interactions, and character advancement. Combat in the game is resolved through disciplines and other power-ups, while social interactions are often resolved through the use of dialogue systems, intimidation, and other skills. Characters in the game can advance and improve over time through the use of experience points, which can be earned through various actions and used to purchase new abilities and skills. The game stumbles is in its combat system, which simply feels clumsy and unsatisfactory. The gunplay is nowhere near as smooth and natural as it should be. It's not as simple as placing the cursor over a target. Unless you invest heavily in improving your firearm skills, your aim will veer widely. Meanwhile, melee weapons are simply has no interesting move that will make you feel like you're hitting the enemy in the game. By using a melee weapon you can attack multiple enemies at once. More importantly, you can even knock them down, which buys you precious time to take advantage of the downed enemies. The enemy AI isn't too bright also, as most opponents will simply rush you or fire their weapons at a distance. Out of combat, you can use your powers and experiment with different approaches to quests. You can try to brainwash someone into giving you what you want, or you can use a stealth approach to hide so you're not detected. Bloodlines 2 offers a very interesting world to explore and different NPC characters to interact with, and the open-ended nature of many of the quests allows you to tackle the game in multiple ways. So if you don't care about the clunky combat and storyline this game is going to be, you'll find that there's a rich world to explore in Bloodlines, a role-playing game that ultimately allows you to indulge your inner vampire. Are you still interested in picking up Vampire The Masquerade Bloodlines 2 when it eventually releases? What do you make of the delays and development struggles? Let us know in the comments. As always, thank you for watching. If you like our contents, please consider subscribing to our channel and click the bell notification button to get notified of our future contents.